Water. Earth. Fire. Air. My grandmother used to tell me stories about the old days, a time of peace, when Avatar The Last Airbender was just a really good animated series. But all that changed when Netflix attacked. Only the original creators could help the notorious studio, but when the world needed them most, they vanished. 4 years have passed and the new Last Airbender is finally being released. But this all seems a bit too familiar. Like we've been here before. And as you know, time is a flat circle. So with the arrival of the reincarnated Avatar, let's take a stroll into the spirit world and pay a visit to the ghost of Nickelodeon's past. Now let's just start out by looking at this from a movie standpoint and not as an adaptation, because there's plenty of good movies that aren't entirely faithful to its source material. Now, what's the story of The Last Airbender? So we've got these two white people, a brother and sister, who live in a local Inuit village. The sister is the only water wizard in their tribe. While they're out looking for food, they accidentally stumble upon the frozen corpse of a white Tibetan monk child. After bringing him back to their village, the fire dudes show up and arrest him. The siblings, Katara and Sokka, have a chat with their grandma. She tells them that the boy they found is not only probably the last wind wizard, but also the chosen one, who is destined to master all 4 elemental superpowers and save the world. The boy, known as the Avatar, manages to escape from the Fire Prince and his uncle, and takes Katara and Sokka to his childhood temple. After realizing nobody is home, the Avatar, known as Ong, figures out that he was in the fridge for nearly a century and his homies were murdered by the Fire Guys. In a fit of rage, Ong enters the blue dimension for the first time and casually bumps into a dragon. We also learn that the Fire Prince, Zuko, has been kicked out of his dad's house and that's why he's been chilling with his fire uncle, Iroh, looking for the Avatar. They get invited to lunch by big deal fireman Zhao, just so he can bully the shit out of Zuko in front of all of his friends. After our heroes leave the graveyard, they're arrested and taken to an Earth town that has been turned into a prison by the Fire Army. Ong starts a rebellion by convincing the Earth Wizards to use their powers and fight back. After defeating the Fire Guys, Ong and Katara are rewarded with a textbook that will help them learn more water magic. Ong reveals to the gang that he left his home before they could teach him to master the other 3 superpowers, so they decide to head to the northern water city to find someone to teach him the way of water. And along their way they plan to keep stopping in small towns to continue their rebellion against the Fire Empire. And as they journey onward, Ong is having trouble with his water magic, and our heroes are being pursued by 2 groups, Prince Zuko and Commander Zhao, who has recently consulted with the big fireman himself, Fire Lord Ozai. Ong gets nervous about being bad with water and his responsibility as the Avatar, so he steals their ride and runs away. Ong travels to the Northern Air Castle and hangs out with a local villager. He is shown a room with statues of his former selves, and then the villager turns him in to the fire police. While he's in jail, Ong has a chat with the dragon and they talk about how the Fire Guys are going to attack the Northern Water City. After Zhao asks Ong some stuff, a blue guy shows up and rescues him.
Look at the top of his head! Look at his lips!
The 2 of them storm their way out of the fire fortress and Blue Guy's identity is revealed to be Prince Zuko. After they escape, Zhao runs back to tell the Fire Lord that he thinks Zuko is the blue guy, and then he blows him up. Our heroes arrive at the Northern Water City and meet Princess Yue. Over the next few weeks, Katara and Ong get taught by a professional water wizard, and Sokka hangs out with the princess. She tells Sokka her tragic backstory and how the moonfish saved her life. Meanwhile, Zhao tells Iroh about his plan to steal the moon, and we find out Prince Zuko faked his death and has been living undercover on Zhao's boat. The Fire Army arrives at the Northern Water City, and Zuko sneaks into town. Ong wants to talk to the dragon again, so the princess takes the gang to her clubhouse so he can meditate. The moonfish and the ocean fish also live in the clubhouse. The princess and Sokka leave Katara to watch over Ong as he naps. Zuko sneaks up on Katara and they throw hands. Ooh! As the fire lizards invade the city, Zuko kidnaps Ong while he's napping. The dragon tells Ong to get good and then he wakes up and shows Zuko his parkour skills. Ong and Zuko throw hands and then the gang shows up to help. Our heroes rush back to the clubhouse but they are unable to stop Zhao from stabbing the moonfish. Princess Yue sacrifices herself to bring the moonfish back to life. Zuko catches up to Zhao, but Iroh stops them from fighting so they can escape. Zhao is then fucking annihilated by these water dudes. Ong fights some fire guys with his sick new water powers, he makes a big wave to stop the fireboats, and then everyone bows down and accepts him as the Avatar. But before the end, Fire Lord Ozai sets his daughter, Fire Princess Azula, on a mission to stop Aang from mastering the other two superpowers. Can't wait for the sequel. Okay, let's tackle what makes this a bad movie. Everything. Starting with the characters, I genuinely can't tell you a single thing about any of these people aside from what their goal is. Aang needs to master all four elements. Sokka and Katara are there to support him on his quest. Zuko needs to capture the Avatar. Iroh is there to support him on his quest. Zhao needs to capture the Avatar. Fire Lord Ozai needs the Avatar to be captured. Do you see the problem? There is not a single moment of anyone just having a conversation, just talking to each other. There's always something being explained or re-explained via narration or straight from an actor's mouth.
Are really powerful benders in the Northern Water Tribe. My dad told me about it before he left. It's led by a princess because her father died. There are teachers there for sure.
Not a single character has a personality. These actors had nothing to work with. Every scene is stale and lifeless. And I need to make a bigger deal of the narration. There is so much explaining to the point where I felt like I was losing my mind. This movie is the king of tell, don't show. We have backstories explained over narration, quest updates explained over narration, basic things that don't need to be explained over narration.
We arrived at the Northern Water Tribe. We presented ourselves to the royal court.
Nothing is said in this movie. Everything is told. We're told information via narration. Characters tell each other information. Nobody talks like a real person. And nobody emotes like a real person either? I don't know what was up with the acting direction, but everyone either has a blank expression, a mildly sad one, or crazy eyes. There are so many things that happen that beg for more of a reaction, like your grandma being taken away,
Grandma!
or your sister being flung at you, or finding out everyone you knew and loved was dead. Okay, wait, too much emotion, hold up, reel it back. There's several action scenes where Aang is replaced by a CGI double, and I swear this clone has a wider range of emotions than the real one. Speaking of CGI, the quality ranges from serviceable to butt ugly. Whenever they remember to add it in, yeah, that's right, there are several scenes where they just clearly forgot to add in any bending effects. Of course, there's also plenty of technical aspects that are terrible, like awkward edits.
You're not still upset?
Not as much as I was.
And camera work that feels like the operator doesn't even know where they should be. So from a film standpoint, it pretty much manages to get everything wrong, which is honestly an impressive feat for a $150 million movie. But let's switch over to why this is a complete dumpster fire of an adaptation. Starting again with the characters, comparing the live-action portrayals to their cartoon counterparts, it is night and fucking day. Since the TV show has time to slow down and actually focus on its characters as people, they get to have fleshed out personalities. Aang is a goof-off, wrestling with his responsibilities as the Avatar. Katara is headstrong but caring and has a tendency to let jealousy overcome her. Sokka is an ignorant slacker who will always put his family before himself when he's called to action. Our heroes feel like real people and not pieces of fucking cardboard. Momo and Appa are just reduced to cute and the car, so they get no time to have any little quirks. Zuko, Iroh, and Zhao are closer to their originals, but it's still a pretty big gap. Zhao isn't really menacing, he's just a slimy foil and suck up to the Fire Lord. Iroh has a bit of Iroh's laid-back and respectful personality, but none of the charm that makes that character a fan favorite. And Zuko gets no time to have his character arc from the show. He's just an angry teenager. Even when it's revealed he's the Blue Spirit, you feel nothing, because he has no relationship with Aang. It's literally the second time they've been in a scene together. Okay, Fire Lord Ozai. Throughout the first season, the Fire Lord is a looming presence. You see him at a distance, or from behind, or obscured in shadow, but you never get a clear view of him. This creates a certain aura around him, a kind of final boss energy. But in the movie, he's just a guy. He fucking casually strolls into his first scene. This is not a character that I'm dying to see go up against the Avatar. Zhao is a more threatening guy than this, and he's the pizza man from Spider-Man 2.
Cool.
And I gotta acknowledge the elephant in the room, the race bending. It's definitely a creative choice to swap everyone around, but it's truly awful because it's not consistent. At least with the Fire Nation, they changed everyone from East Asian to South Asian. But how come only the speaking characters from the Southern Water Tribe are whitewashed, but the other background villagers stay Inuit? Come on. If you're gonna whitewash everyone, and not just your important characters. That's beyond tasteless. And everyone always notes that so many of these character names are mispronounced throughout the movie. But at this point, I'm fine with it. These characters are nowhere close to their cartoon counterparts, so why should they have the same names? Might as well change everyone's. Where's Katara? Where's Zuko? We're going to talk about the story now. So the movie starts with the first 3 episodes for 20 minutes, and ends with 50 minutes devoted to the last 3 episodes, which leaves us with a 30-minute chunk in the middle for the rest of the season. Obviously, adaptations need to cut content for their runtimes, but only being able to primarily cover 6 episodes out of a 20-episode season is a massive reason why we should stop trying to adapt series like these into movies. Or adapt them into anything at all, for that matter. After leaving the Southern Air Temple, the gang heads into Episode 6 territory with the Earthbender prison, which is hilarious in this version because unlike the show's metal warship with no dirt in sight, they're fucking surrounded by it. There's a dash of Episode 9 with the waterbending scroll, and Episode 4 with the statue of Avatar Kyoshi, and after that we head right into a weird mix of Episode 17 and 13, where instead of the Airwalkers living in the abandoned Northern Air Temple, it's occupied by the Fire Nation. This leads to Aang getting arrested and being rescued by the Blue Spirit like in Episode 13. Before that, Aang is shown the past Avatar room by the Earth villager who betrays him. Statue room is all the way back in Episode 3, and this Earth dude was made up for the movie, but it's probably in reference to when Haru gets snitched on in the show. Haru is in the movie briefly, he's just a child for some reason. After the Blue Spirit escape, we head into the final 3 episodes featuring the Northern Water Tribe. There's also aspects of Episode 7 with Avatar Roku's dragon in the spirit world, and Episode 12 with the reveal of Aang and Zuko's respective backstories sprinkled throughout the movie. But the pacing is all over the place. Sometimes moments move too fast, others linger too long, it's a mess. Now before we wrap this up, let's go back to the beginning and check out the iconic opening, widely considered to be one of the greatest cartoon intros of all time. Couldn't even help myself doing a little spin on it at the start of the video, but let's see how the movie does it. Title card, bending visuals, boring-ass Star Wars crawl. All the elements are there, but you've executed it in such an unengaging way. Why not save the title card for after the exposition? Why not have the narration over the bending visuals, or any real visuals for that matter? Because this is exactly what I want to do when I go to the movies, read text on a blank screen. And they could have just done the same script from the show for the opening, but nope. Let's see. How come the Air Nomads get to be the only specific group? No room for tribe, kingdom, and nation for the other elements? Why say 100 years ago? Again, the paragraph started with that. Just say the Avatar disappeared. And honestly, this lore really tells me nothing. It basically just says, long ago, things were chill. There are 4 squads. If anyone in your squad had superpowers, that's chill. There was one dude who had all 4 superpowers, they could talk to ghosts, and then they dipped. And this info's kind of redundant anyways, because Grandma does the whole Avatar speech pretty soon after this. Let's look at what the show's version tells us. We find out that long ago the Avatar, who was the only person who could master all 4 elements, kept peace between the 4 nations, until the Fire Nation attacked. Only he could stop them, but he vanished. It's been 100 years, and the Fire Nation is about to win the war they started. The father of 2 of the main characters left to fight in the war, and despite things being the way they are, there is still some hope that the Avatar will return and save the world. They get twice the amount of information out in just over the same amount of time, and it's infinitely more engaging, and they're actually showing us what is being explained, and... This has been a long video, but here's the thing. I love a truly heinous film. I saw Madam Web recently, and these kind of movies that somehow manage to fuck up everything that makes a movie good bring me so much joy. It's when I have to actively think about what makes it bad, is when I don't like it very much. But if I can just sit back and revel in the garbage, I'm having a great time. Here's some of my favorite moments.
He was bending tiny stones at us from behind a tree. It really hurt.
Now, let's take a look at some actual good things about The Last Airbender. The music is nice. The Fire Nation warships look okay. 10 out of 10. Loved it.